Hi all, this video is going to be about the Gigabyte Aorus GeForce RTX 3090 XTREME WATERFORCE 24GB GDDR6X PCIe graphics card. That's quite a mouthful, that's what it says on the website there. Specifically, this is about the installation of the card, and I'm going to make a few comments on the initial use and performance of that particular graphics card, which I've just bought and installed. The card comes with a radiator and two ARGB fans attached, so it's really an all-in-one solution to cooling your graphics card as well as just a graphics card. Different from creating a custom loop because you don't have all the work of customizing it, but I'm going to go into that again in a little while. So why would anyone want to include this extra level of cooling is a question I asked myself when I was thinking about buying this. And that's extra cooling over and above the standard built-in fan stroke air cooling solutions that come with most graphics cards. Well, for me, I wanted the extra cooling because I had an SLI stroke NV-Link system running in the same case before, and I wanted an effective cooling solution, a cooler system. Previously, the top card in the SLI system used to get hot, very hot, regularly hitting 86 degrees centigrade plus. Well, it stopped at 88 in fact, while the lower card was running at about 60 degrees centigrade, maybe up to 66, round about there anyway. I still have in mind that I'd like another SLI NV-Link system, so I like that because SLI is just such an efficient way of using the graphics cards, the power of them, of these multiple cards. Though I do recognize it's becoming hard to achieve a good solution here due to the lack of support from Nvidia and the wider industry. If I were an independent-minded software engineer wanting to make a fortune, I'd be looking at a way of making these graphics cards work together to really make PC graphics cards come to life. But that's just my idea. Not only that, but the heat from the SLI system would permeate the other components in the case and just make the whole system run hotter. That's with an air-cooled GPU. With this liquid-cooled system, there are no fans on the graphics card pumping heat up or down to the CPU or other parts of the motherboard, at least not on the graphics card itself anyway. There are obviously cooling fans in the system. We'll talk about those later. So thinking about why an all-in-one solution? Well, an all-in-one solution has several advantages and some disadvantages over creating your own custom solution, in my opinion, of course. The most obvious answer is convenience. No need to mess around with all those pipes and connections and tubes and bending things and all that potential for leaks, etc. It's also going to be a lot quicker to install. Just take it out of the box and put it in the PC and it works. Hopefully it works. Not everything does, and there's a couple of other videos on here recently that show that that's not always the case. But anyway, hopefully it will work straight out of the box. A third reason for why an all-in-one solution: reliability. If you buy this type of solution from a major manufacturer or retailer, you're going to get the benefit of all the research and effort they've put in to make sure that thing works. This card stroke all-in-one comes with a 4-year warranty, so they're backing up their idea that this is going to work, because if it doesn't, you can always send it back. On the downside, this solution is very expensive. You're paying for all the things I just mentioned as advantages, so there's no free lunches here. So if it says it's got a 4-year warranty, somewhere in the price there's the cost of a 4-year warranty, and you're also going to lose, maybe this is a really big thing, you're also going to lose some of the customization options that can be really important for a PC enthusiast, whether you're into overclocking or some specific RGB scheme or just some other way of getting the system to look and be yours, that's available to a customizer. You can't really do that, not so easily with this all-in-one solution. So those are the reasons that you, or me in this case, are perhaps going to ponder when thinking about whether to buy this system or not. I'm sure you can think of other reasons as well. So now I've got the system and it's installed. What was that process like for me? Overall, installation was pretty straightforward. I had a problem plugging the power cables into the card. This might just be me, as I also had a problem getting the power cables into the motherboard a few days ago. I just couldn't get them in there. Perhaps I've got very large fingers, which I do actually, so that probably doesn't help. But anyway, that's what I did. I had a problem with that. I'm going to blame it on the shroud that covers the card. It partly impedes a straight insertion maneuver, if I could call it that, of the power cables into the card. And this is just like the heat sinks from the Asus Z590 motherboard did with the power cables on that board. But really this is a minor thing. It took like 5-10 minutes effort to get them in there. In both cases it was just annoying. Secondly, about installation, I had to remove the case fans from the front of the PC to fit the radiator. No problem there, of course. But I also had to take the fans from the radiator, let's unscrew them, and reseat them on the opposite side. I had to do this as otherwise I don't think the liquid pipes or tubing, whatever that's called, would have reached from the radiator to the card slot. You can see now, if you look at the system, some pictures there, that they're fairly well stretched, though they're not under any strain, but they're at their sort of almost maximum distance. I put the radiator on the front of the case because I still have in mind this SLI/NVLink system, and I could pop another radiator or fan combination in the bottom of the case, or even in the remaining 120mm fan slot at the front of the case, which is at the bottom below the other two, if I had a solution, let's just say a graphics card with just one fan that I could put in there. I could also just put another air-cooled card in, as the whole system is fairly cool now. Anyway, this is all just a bit of future planning and thinking of options and making allowances and etc. It's a kind of compromise thing to do, but anyway, that's where I work. The fans themselves from this all-in-one are attached to the card via power and ARGB cables. These seem to be custom cables and connections. I also considered changing the fans for larger, quieter ones, such as the ones I took out of the case to put these ones in, but I'm not going to do that now in case I can't get them all to go back together again. This harks back to the argument I was saying earlier, advantages and disadvantages of an all-in-one system, about the lack of customization with this all-in-one solution. So you're sort of stuck with the fans that come with it unless you want to start taking things apart. The supplied fans are a bit louder than the ones that came with the case. The computer case, that is, this Corsair 780T, but that's a marginal issue. Moving on to the last little bit of this discussion, the next big question is, how does it perform? This card comes with the core clock 90 MHz faster than the reference card. It's 1985 MHz versus 1695 on the reference card, at least according to the Aorus website. So it's good, it's nice and fast, but then again, I'm going to go off on a tangent here slightly. When I tried to do an auto overclock via Aorus engine software and then MSI Afterburner using their scan function, both those pieces of software failed after a few seconds. So maybe there's no more core clock overclocking available, is that right? Or maybe some other reason the software failed. It's not set up for this card. This card is such an oddball in a way. You don't see that many of them around. Anyway, I don't know, but it wouldn't work anyway. So I might have to go back to some manual overclocking later, if I'm going to be bothered with that. So anyway, back to the question, how does it perform? It performs very well. I've included a couple of benchmarks at the end of this clip. These are for Total War Warhammer 2 and Watch Dogs Legion. I also did a playtest in Battlefield 1 yesterday, that's Saturday, whatever it is of July, the 17th of July. And after about 2 hours, the highest temperature the graphics card reached was 60 degrees centigrade. The fans were making a bit of noise, but nothing unusual. It didn't seem to be struggling that hard, and the frame rate limiter was bouncing off at 200 frames per second. That's in a 4K game with high settings. So, you know, that's pretty good performance, and it looked absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that seemed good to me, as the 2080 Ti I had been using in the same game went up to 88 degrees centigrade fairly quickly, and it stayed there almost always throughout the game. So that's a more than 20 degrees centigrade drop for this 3090 over a 2080 Ti Founders Edition. That's pretty good in my book. My overall conclusion: I'm very pleased with this card, even though it was expensive. Although, having said that, I did have two 2080 Ti's before, and I've just sold them both yesterday, and I got a large part of the cost of this card back. Not all of it, but a large part of it. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. So, where am I now? The next thing I'm thinking about is a Cooler Master ML360 Sub-Zero cooler, Peltier cooler, for the CPU, or tech cooler, another word for it, for the CPU, to really start to chill this system down. But that'll be for another day, for another video. So, hope you liked this, and if you did, then please do like and subscribe. Thanks very much for listening, watching. Bye.
anywhere.
We're all clear of